So when I think next gen, I think fast. I think beautiful environments that are robust. I think nothing gets in my way and I can just melt into my experience. And I think, well, the biggest, the baddest, and the most expensive system should grant me that experience. I was wrong. In fact, the Xbox Series S is indeed the best next-gen console that exists in 2023. And here's why. Most gamers who want to get into gaming don't decide, with the exception of a few, and that's why I say most, don't decide the same year that they're purchasing their new console is going to be the same year that they purchase a brand new $1,200 to $1,900 TV. And that is what is actually, unfortunately, necessary to experience the advertised capabilities of both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. When I first purchased my PlayStation 5, I thought, I have a 4K TV. It is large. It has HDR. It also has QLED, which I didn't know was not better OLED. I just didn't know at the time. And chances are a lot of people don't. And so I plugged my PlayStation 5 in. I put in the current next-gen game, which at the time was either Ratchet and Clank or Valhalla. I thought Assassin's Creed Valhalla, more realistic. Let's pop that bad boy in. Let's boost it to quality mode. This 65-inch TV is going to blow my mind. Mind you, my 65-inch TV was a TCL Roku TV that cost me maybe $450 at the time. The HDR that existed, I did not see because I was not directly sitting facing the TV. I was off to the side a little bit because my living room is set up a little oddly. I also had the window closed, but light was still bleeding in, so some of the lighting was unfortunately obstructed by external light. In that moment, at quality mode, I was playing a game at 30 frames per second, which a lot of Nintendo Switch games play at 30 frames per second, some at 60. And I was thinking to myself, playing my PlayStation 5 disc edition that I had just spent $700 on because I had to buy a bundle, what is happening? I thought the next-gen console was supposed to be fast. I thought it was supposed to be smooth. I thought it was supposed to have detail that was unmatched and vibrant. Lo and behold, it wasn't. But when I got my hands on the Series S, what I was not expecting was that the low tier, the entry level, the cheap version of the Xbox was going to deliver on every single one of those very points. When I first plugged this in, I was led through the setup process and started to play games on it, like we all do. Game Pass was included for $1, so I ended up having access to plenty of games, and games that were optimized specifically to be played on this console. Now, what I didn't understand at the time, and what unfortunately isn't talked about enough, is that when 4K is something that is trying to be achieved, which is just absurd marketing in my opinion, you end up wildly taxing the very machine trying to push that image. But when the machine itself is limited to only play at 1080p, which is a quarter of that resolution, or 1440p, which is half that resolution, you actually are in a much better position to push out more performance. And that performance means a faster feeling game, higher frame rates, such as 60 frames per second, or in some instances with lower resolutions, 120 frames per second. And what I didn't understand at the time is because this guy actually does not support native 4K with gaming, that this actually could be using something called HDMI 2.0. HDMI 2.0 up until this point was pretty much the standard. In fact, unless you buy a really expensive TV and an absurdly expensive gaming monitor, you actually only have HDMI 2.0 as an option. HDMI 2.1 is the option that you need to play at 4K and 120 frames per second, if you so choose, which not many games allow you to do that. But this guy doesn't need it because, well, no 4K, which means you as a gamer don't have to spend an absurd amount of money, which means you as a gamer also can just play this out the box, which means you as a gamer gets to truly play next-gen level games at, yes, lower resolution, but very, very solid performance for $300. And this thing even's on sale right now as this video has come out. Maybe it's not by the time you're watching it, for $239 directly from Microsoft in the United States. The very company that created it is putting it on sale. That's pretty crazy. Now, one thing that I was not expecting to like as much as I did on this was the portability. I have never been someone who brought my console much of anywhere because it's a gaming console. It stays under the TV. But this guy is so portable, and there are a lot of companies out there that have displays specifically for this, which I have one that's 15 inches, does 144 hertz. I have another one that's a little bit smaller and does 60 hertz. But still, this guy feels like it was designed to be taken places. That is a really, really awesome feature that I didn't know I needed, but I absolutely enjoy. And the last thing that I think really sells this as a console is that, well, it isn't trying to be the advertised best out there. But what it does is it ends up filling the need of 90% of the gamers out there, which is I need a console to play the games that are coming out right now. And I want to play those games without having to wait too long. The SSD in this makes load times a thing of the past. Also, the fact that you can quick resume and just hop between multiple single-player games, and the exception of a few multiplayer games, really makes this an unbelievable gaming experience. And so when I say something like in 2023, the Xbox Series S is the #1 best console to buy, what I'm trying to tell you is this. They have marketed next gen as this 4K high frame rate generation, when in reality, we're not even close. Some can do one, maybe both at times, but you are sacrificing some serious performance or some serious visual clarity, or even worse, money. Lots and lots of money. So check it out and play more games. That's what we're here to do anyway. Just play more. Happy gaming.